There's a ton of things I want to chat about. Everything from incrementality to how you built your creative team to how you're thinking about the holidays.
I think we need so much creative and we need different types of creative. And I think in-house teams are doing them good at maybe one type of creative, but not necessarily the other kind that would be an unlock for us. They're more like on the brand side. So like they do all of our like organic social, all of our YouTube, all of our photo stuff.
If you're a seller on Shopify, if you're a merchant on Shopify, you sell e-commerce and you use Shopify, then let me tell you about an app that you absolutely need to use. It's called AfterSell. It's the fastest growing upsell app on Shopify, and it helps you do a few different things. It helps you with post-purchase upsells. It helps you with editing your checkout and also just building an optimized cart drawer. This helps you get higher AOVs, higher UPTs, and cross-sell your products based on what your customers are shopping for. If you have someone buying a backpack on your site and you also sell luggage, you can use AfterSell to cross-sell luggage or vice versa. It's used by over 25,000 brands, including Jones Road, Hexclad, Skims, True Classic, and more. And on average, their clients see an AOV boost of up to 30%. On top of that, from your order confirmation page, you can generate revenue with AfterSell's network offers. If you want to get a demo of AfterSell, go to aftersell.com/limited. Sign up now and get AfterSell free for 60 days for limited supply listeners. Again, that's aftersell.com/limited.
All right, Cody. So we're back. You're Mr. Disabled here. What'd you do to your foot?
And hip.
Your hip.
Had hip labrum surgery a few weeks back.
And you've just been sitting on the couch?
It's like my first trip out the house, pretty much.
I love it.
Yeah, only for you.
Did my driver carry you out your bedroom?
Nobody asked. He dropped me off like around the corner, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can walk because there was traffic. He's like, all right, but you have to tell him I carried you.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, listen, this guy's important. All right, you might have to carry him.
He would have.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so this is your second time back on the pod. You're in a club of very few. I think it's just you and Ben from True Classic who's been back on twice. Two legends. And let's see, how did we start becoming friends? We met at a conference, right, in Miami a couple years ago.
Of course, it was Twitter probably before that.
Yeah, Twitter before that. We were like friendly for sure.
Yeah.
But then we became friends at this conference in Miami.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about you, and then I met Miami Nick, which
Miami
is a very
Nick,
different
that's right.
version of
Yeah,
Nick,
very
and I'm
different
like, I
version.
like this guy.
You got the silk shirt on, got the shorts on.
Yeah.
Much more chill, laid back. And then we started group chat. We were in a group chat. We started chatting every day. And now I feel like whenever I'm thinking, all right, is this company legit? Like, is this vendor? Is this software company? Are they legit? Do they actually do what they do? What's their pricing like? Is their pricing legit? What's the real room on the pricing? I always text you.
Appreciate
You're like
that.
my go-to for that. But also you went from joining Jones Road, or I guess kind of starting at Jones Road. And now it's, multi-$100-million company. It's been amazing to see the growth. And now you've got retail stores and everything opening up too.
Appreciate that. I don't do lifetime revenue, so annual revenue. We're not multi-100 million yet, but hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year or so.
Well, okay, there's a ton of things I want to chat about. Everything from incrementality to how you built your creative team to how you're thinking about the holidays to, what you're doing to maximize LTV, just a bunch of random stuff. So I think this is going to be a fun kind of like, what do they call those? Like
a rapid fire.
Yeah, or even like at Cheesecake Factory. I'm trying to think what they call the dish when they put everything in, like jambalaya or something.
Okay.
Is that it? I don't know what it is. Almost like a paella.
I was thinking like Cheesecake Factory. We get like the menu of everything. You got some Chinese food on there.
That too, yeah.
Pizza.
We can look at it that way. I like that. All right, so I would love to start with incrementality. So this is something that I actually did about 7 years ago with a vendor, but didn't fully understand it. And then more, I'd say in the last year or so, incrementality has been becoming bigger. You've talked a lot about incrementality. One of the softwares that we use for incrementality is House, and you've also published some case studies with them. But I'm curious, like, how do you, even if we step back from any of the nitty gritty, like, when you think about MTA, MMM, and incrementality, like, how do you differentiate the three? Because you've definitely run all three for Jones.
Yeah, we do. You cool if I just like describe them or define them super quickly?
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say attribution is any like, it's not always click-based, but usually it's click-based. It's essentially trying to give credit for what was driven by, an ad channel or a unit or things like that. It's usually click-based. Sometimes it's view-based, but it's usually click-based. And then MMM is media mix modeling. That's essentially, this is going to be a terrible definition of it, but like very advanced regression analysis to try to understand the correlations between things, different spend on different channels, and ultimately revenue.
How would you explain that to like a 5-year-old?
It's essentially data scientists who work on a model and try to say, hey, when you do this, this revenue goes up, and like
Basically using
there are correlations.
historicals and applying it to a future model.
Yeah, I think so. And there's like different models in different companies.
Yeah.
It's probably best for larger companies. It's traditionally like, done by Nielsen. It's like you do it quarterly, like, like a big CPG will do it quarterly, and results take a lot longer, but it's gold standard, especially for like a retail company where you're not, there's no attribution for, you can't click on a Facebook ad and
Right.
buy it in Target. So there's limitations there. But it's very slow. It's very expensive. It's not, most of the providers are not great for like understanding the needs of like digitally native companies. But there's a few providers that are trying to do that. And then there's incrementality. So I would say incrementality. So let's say one of the things that happened to me early on in my career is I would report, I'd be running Facebook ads, Google ads, maybe some TikTok ads, you got email and SMS, and I'd report on the channel revenue, and I'd take it from Facebook and I'd take it from Google, and I would give the total. And let's say we did 100K that month. And I'd be like, well, this is adding up to 120K. Like, I don't know. Let me dig into that. Like, let me get why. And I didn't understand at the time. Like, I thought it was a tracking thing. Something was broken. But it's because they're all claiming credit for whatever their attribution windows are. And you can have different 1-day click, 7-day click, first touch, and you can have views as well. And so somebody can interact, and likely most people will interact with multiple channels. So the sum will be greater than just what each channel shows. So some channels are probably taking more credit than they should. Some channels are taking less credit than they should. There are multi-touch attribution tools like Northbeam that will make sure the total is 100, and they'll do a good job divvying it up. And so we use those. We use all of our, media buying, like especially Meta, like optimizations based on that. We just look at a 1-day click. I don't like getting into like a first touch versus last touch.
Yeah, especially if you're running multiple channels. Or you have a bunch of ad spend on different channels. It's hard to go past 1-day click and really understand the channels.
It just makes it like much more complicated. Yeah. I don't love the views. So I think that's great. And I think like a lot of people should use some type of attribution. You get results quickly. I could launch an ad today or yesterday and see some directionally, how it's going to be performing. So we use that, especially if I know and I calibrate it with the other things that, our Meta 1-day click target is a 0.9, let's say. Like, I know that that's our meta target, but I've got to use these other tools to kind of understand. The challenge is some over report, some under report, and they also have different places in the funnel. For example, a lot of people I've seen where like their retargeting ads or their Google brand search will look really good. That has great ROAS. And their board member or their exec team,
they're like, why don't you spend more there?
Yeah, exactly. Let's do there. Let's cut.
Should be 10
let's cut
bigger.
TV. Let's cut YouTube. Let's cut prospecting.
Right.
But obviously, that's the thing that's filling the funnel.
Totally.
And so I think that's where incrementality comes in. So incrementality is trying to understand which of the conversions would happen and which of the conversions would not happen if they weren't shown that ad.
Right.
So good example I've heard, imagine you've got, a coffee shop and you've got 3 employees. One of them has a sign right outside the door. One has a sign, in the parking lot. One has a sign, around the corner.
Yeah.
Every single person that comes in and buys coffee is going to pass that sign right by the door.
Right.
Doesn't mean that person by the door and that sign is what made them purchase. A lot of them would have done it.
That's a good one.
But if that person by the door said, hey, 10 people came in, right? You only spent, $1 on the sign today. 10 people came in. Well, that's a 10x ROAS, right? But it's not necessarily something you could amplify.
Right.
Clearly, they had to come from somewhere else.
Totally.
And so that would be like a bottom of funnel where it looks, the attribution is very good, right? Top of funnel, maybe only 3 people saw that, but maybe the 3 people that saw that sign out there would have never even heard of the coffee shop if they didn't see it.
Right.
And so that's incrementality. What you do is you essentially just create, it's the most scientific way of testing. You create a controlled environment where you're essentially doing a holdout. And so let's say you're curious about YouTube ads, right? Because that's one where you're not going to get great click-based attribution. People might see a YouTube ad. Some of them might click. A lot of them are going to search for you either with a just go directly to your site, or they might go on a Google brand search ad, right? So you'll usually target a percentage of the country, and tool house, which we use and I love and work with, they'll make this automatic. Usually you won't do 50-50, you'll do like a 20% holdout, but let's just say 50-50 to keep it even. You'll take all of your same media. So Meta, TikTok, Google, email, all that stuff you're going to run across the whole country to keep it consistent. The one change you're going to do is YouTube, you're going to run in part of the country. You'll call that your treatment group or your exposed group. And then you'll have a holdout or a control group. Those ones won't get the treatment, right? So you'll run, let's say you run 100K of YouTube ads, part of the country. You're going to see how much revenue you get there. above the exposed group. So let's
Got
say
it.
you make $100,000 with the holdout, zero YouTube spending, because that's driven by everything else. You make $120,000, right? You have $20,000 of incremental revenue, all right? So that you have 20K of incremental revenue that you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't run YouTube ads. Let's say you spent $10,000, that would be an incremental ROAS of a 2.0,
Right.
right? And so that would be, you'd be very confident in saying, hey, I feel confident YouTube was the variable because everything else was held constant. You ran it at the same time. That's the variable that changed. And then you could actually inform your targets. So like, for example, when we run a holdout with House, or now we we use House and Prescient, we'll see there's a lot more value that's being driven by something like a YouTube, much more than in platform or Northbeam is able to say. So we
And
might,
and these holdouts, these are like designed to be an equal 50-50, right? It's not like coastal cities is one group and like middle America is another group.
it's a great question. There's definitely some data science that goes back behind the scenes. Like I'm oversimplifying it.
Yeah.
I don't think you are taking half of it. Like I do believe they're giving you models that are trying to compare. So like
Yeah.
a New York might function differently than like a Minnesota. So
Totally.
I do think there are some and it's randomized, but that's like the House makes it really easy.
Yeah.
And so that's that. The pros of that, it's very scientific,
Right.
right? You're very confident in the result. There's no cookies, there's no attribution.
Right.
You're looking at your new customer revenue, your revenue, whatever you care about. You can also do it on like a retail. Let's say you're nationwide in Target or Sephora. That's the best way probably to measure things like that. I'm just going to run TV ads in this part of the country. Let me see my sales velocity there. You can also do it Amazon. Like we're not on Amazon, but I've seen from some other brands, Hexclad Ridge, other brands, where they're driving sometimes 1-to-1 value in D2C compared to Amazon, especially for some of these upper funnel channels.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so what this does is it helps inform some of your targets. Well, maybe I thought I was losing money at this YouTube spend, but now if I
Right. It's
factor in,
reporting a 0.2 ROAS
Yeah,
in
that's
platform,
terrible.
but in reality, it might be a 2 ROAS.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then if you add in Amazon and look longer time frame. So the biggest negative, you can only run a few of these tests at once. They
Mhm.
take a while. So there are just pros and cons of each of them.
Yeah.
But it's been helpful. Like we don't run any Google brand search. We found it to be not incremental at all.
Right.
Even though in platform ROAS 8x, we found that those people are purchasing anyways, whether we don't or not. So we just pocket that or put it somewhere where we think it's a little bit more beneficial.
Totally.
Have you ever wondered how brands like Jones Road and Hexclad are optimizing their customer journeys by increasing AOV and post-purchase upsells? Well, they all use AfterSell. AfterSell is used by over 25,000 brands and has been shown to boost your AOV by up to 30%. Not only that, but they also have a proprietary network offers feature that has generated tons of net revenue for brands like Perry Ellis, True Classic, and American Eagle. This allows you to drive sales on your own site and add additional revenue through showing ads in your post-purchase funnel. If you're interested to learn more, get a demo at aftersell.com/limited. Sign up now and get 60 days of AfterSell free for limited supply listeners. Once again, that's aftersell.com/limited.
Damn, that was like a masterclass in incrementality right
Appreciate
there.
it.
That's awesome.
Hopefully I made that clear enough.
Okay, next question I'd love to ask. So, you, at least in my head, you're known for being like fast, efficient, scrappy, and not necessarily cheap because you're not
Mhm.
cheap, but like you
Definitely
are
cheap.
very
I'm definitely cheap.
okay. Fine, we can say it. You're cheap, but you're watching every
Yeah.
dollar.
Yeah.
How did you build such a good creative team in house? Like, how did you think about building that team? What does that team
Mhm.
look like? How long did it take you to build that team? What were the first hires you made?
Yeah, good question. The thing is, I'm talking because I really want to find these agencies to work with.
Yeah.
Like, I think we need so much creative and we need different types of creative. And I think in-house teams are doing them good at maybe one type of creative, but not necessarily the other kind that would be an unlock for us.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to some of these agencies, some of these big percentage to spend ones, and I'll just do some of the math. And if you spend, $500K a month at 10% of a spend, like that's wild. We've never
Right.
paid an
That's like
agency close
you
to
might
that.
as well get 7 video editors in house full time.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. If you're gonna spend on that,
Right.
so we built it in house. I just think it's really important. We have a really good creative team. They're more like on the brand side. So like they do all of our like organic social, all of our YouTube, all of our photo stuff like that. So we've got like a design, a video team, and they work on some of our ad stuff, but it's just such a different culture and such a different, perspective of what they're looking for at different speed.
Mhm.
So as we grew and, after iOS, creative became more and more important, I was like, let's not put our money on, an agency for running ads. Let's instead put that money into creative. So I think we started with an agency that was more of like a flat fee, but they'd shoot internally with us. And over time, we just tried to add things. So we added, video editors, we added creative strategists. Right now, we have one full-time creative strategist. We've got a few video editors. We have some designers. Those are our designers are actually on our like creative team, so they're on the brand side. But Everyone works closely together, and that'll probably be a big team that we build over time. Get more. I'll probably treat it like an in-house agency. Like we've got a studio space that we can use. I'd probably like to build that out. Even considering like I was talking to Zach Stuck about it. Like, is there a way to like incentivize people to have some type of percent of spend, but like make sure that's still healthy for us?
You mean like as a creative?
Yeah, as a creative or like
Yeah.
as a strategist or something like that. Like if one of your videos pops off, like you should be rewarded, but
Right.
there's got to be a cap, so it's obviously still economical for us.
Right, because you're cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, but I think it's something where we're probably underinvesting. I don't know. What do you see in terms of like everyone throws out there and they say it should be 10% of spend you spend on creative? Like we're not spending anywhere close to that. What have you seen?
I don't know. We had an account where we were spending like, $6 million to $8 million a month.
Yeah.
So we stopped doing creative scopes where we would just go back and say we need more creative.
Yeah.
Instead, we just changed our model to like if we're buying media for you, we just do unlimited ad creative.
Oh, nice.
So it depends on the spend. If you're an account spending 7 figures a month, I don't know, we might be rotating anywhere from 30 to 50 pieces a week.
Yeah.
If you're less than that, then probably less. But the idea is like we can scale up with you. Surprisingly enough, I know we both invested in Motion. Motion is like the most helpful thing to our creative team.
Oh, for sure. I don't know a single team that doesn't use it.
When we invested in Motion, I was like, okay, I could see this as like a founder level tool.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it from the creative team's perspective, but like our designers, video editors, animators, they just live in Motion now.
Oh, for sure.
Everything is in Motion.
Definitely. Yeah. So I was trying to show it to a designer who like doesn't know this stuff as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Any other tips on the creative team build out?
Yeah, I mean, we'll build it out. I would say like, so let's say you're like 7 figures, you're probably starting to build it out. You probably want, I would say, creative strategist. Hopefully you can get a strategist. Like there's a few different ways. We went with more of like a video editing production background. You can get somebody over there. You can get somebody from a media buying background, but make sure they got creative. You can get like a copywriter background. You can get a like a content creator background. Like that's probably the direction I would go at one of those smaller ones. Hopefully they can make some edits, do things like that.
Right. Yeah. Be a little bit more multifaceted, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just need them to be able to do multiple things.
Right.
But I think they've got to have that like strategy hat. They've got to. I think that the biggest thing, and I'm working on like presentation and trying to like change how we do things internally. I think just as an industry, we spend so much time thinking about like the less important variables of creative, where it's like, what's the format, what's the concept, like what's the iteration, what's the hook, and those are important. But I think the most important thing is like research, like how are we really understanding our customers? What do they care about?
So true.
What do our existing customers care about? How are we running service to them? But also like for us, like let's say we have an opportunity to reach a new audience. They're going to care about different things.
Totally.
We can't just look at our ad comments because we're not reaching them currently. Like go on Reddit, go on YouTube. Like what are those people caring about? What are they currently using? What have they tried before? And like spend like hours working on that before you even think of an ad concept. Don't just look at like foreplay and come up with an ad. That's like my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. My like two places I love to go is one is Reddit and one is TikTok. Like just searching TikTok, even if it's like mascara, college student, and like listening to that perspective, or mascara, old woman. I don't know if that's bad to say, but like listening to that perspective. But and then Reddit's another one because everybody's either complaining or answering a complaint on Reddit. There's so many like pockets or angles you could find within the comments.
For sure, Reddit and like Facebook groups as well. Yeah,
yeah, Facebook groups is another.
Just trying to like understand those new, the new audiences, what they care about, how is it different? And, like build avatars, try to build some data around it, and then like how are you speaking, to those avatars maybe differently? Like what do they care about? Have you done any like Axiom reports? We had one agency who did one of those. They like took our customer file and got like an Axiom report. So it's
you get the breakdown of all the customers. We have done it, or I've done it before a couple times. I remember the most successful one we did was with Experian.
Okay.
Because they gave us audiences based on who our customer data had. But those audiences didn't last long. They probably worked for like a month or two, and then it was like, all right, we
ours wasn't for like running. It was more just like for insights. I don't know how helpful, and I don't know what the cost would normally be.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a cool idea, at least, to just like the more you can understand your customers. I'm a big fan of surveying, but again, it's there's part is understanding your current customers to know what they care about and what like the messaging pillars are.
Yeah.
But it's also like, how are we going to reach new people? What do they care about that's different than what we currently care about?
Totally. All right, Cody. So for Black Friday coming up, is there anything different you guys are doing this year that you haven't done before? I'm assuming you're going to run the Miracle Bomb minis again.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. I feel like we have a pretty good thing figured out. So we just make some slight adjustments to it and a lot in our strategy. We, last time I think I was here probably in December, so it was right after Black Friday. We had a pretty successful one. Harley shouted us out on like
That was
MSNBC and
sick.
stuff, so that was
That
awesome.
was
So
sick. I saw
hopefully we
that
get
and I
that
was like,
again.
that's my boy
Yeah.
Cody.
So hopefully we get that again. We've got
Yeah.
a million. Last year we sold 375,000 mini Miracle Moms. We've got 1 million this year, so that's
Wow.
the goal, to go through them. So number one, we're gonna extend the length. So we're
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what did we learn from it. We do the
What
same
was your
thing.
length last year?
4 days.
4 days.
And that was the first
during
time.
the week of Black Friday?
Yeah. So that
Okay.
was, Friday to Monday.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we've actually had enough inventory for them.
Yeah.
So we didn't even consider extending it, and now we did.
Okay, you just ran this recently too, right?
Yeah, so we
On
do
Mother's Day?
a very similar one for Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day, yeah.
We did, I think we did 8 days. We made, if I'm allowed to brag a little bit, we did made 1 million 7 of the 8 days. So that was awesome.
What?
So the goal is to do it every day now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. But we got some really good feedback. Like we offered them in like a kit. We had like 2 or 3 different kit offerings.
Yeah.
Where people couldn't pick their shades. People were pissed about that for some reason. So
Mhm.
we're gonna let them customize. They didn't like
Wow.
that they had to spend $170 to get one of the exclusive shades, but
Yeah.
they
So
bought it
this year
anyways.
they'll be able to choose 6 of the same shades?
I think we'll probably do like 4, 6, and 8, something
Okay.
like that. But they'll
Nice.
be able to choose.
Is that going to cost a lot extra on the pick and pack side for you guys?
No,
No?
I
Nice.
thought so. Yeah, not actually. If anything, it's actually cheaper because we don't have to kit them.
Oh,
We don't have to
prior.
pre-kit them. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like pros and cons for like inventory.
Sure.
It's harder to predict what people will get,
Right.
but we don't have to kit them, which is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna extend it. So we're just trying to learn from how did we do it last year? What's our postmortem? What do we think we did better? Like last year was the first time we teased it. We actually let people know a week ahead of time
Mhm.
because we wanted to make sure people saw it. And we, that was very successful. So we'll probably do something similar to that. We have a lot of in beauty, like holiday kits and things like that are very important.
Mhm.
So for us, it's just the whole season.
Right.
It really just starts with inventory planning and are we getting enough? And we've got to order these, 9 months ahead of time.
Right.
So it's tricky to do,
Right.
but we've got a lot more and we're extending the length of time that we have them. So hopefully we'll be able to do it. And I just think a lot about building the funnel. Like really once September starts, it's like a lot of the people that are buying holiday stuff that are buying Black Friday,
Right.
they're not hearing about Jones Road for the first time then. Right.
Right.
So-
Ideally, they've heard about it. They know about it.
Exactly. So that's really how we're thinking about it. Just forecasting how low to the ground can we run with MER? Like how much can we spend? Are we peaking TV spend in probably October?
Mhm.
Are we using some of these other offerings? Like we have another kit in October. That's really like what kicks off our season. We've got like our anniversary kit in October. And then we go straight into holiday kits a few weeks after that. And then that'll take us through. So all of the spend that we're acquiring customers on and just getting in the market during then, we think we're really capturing a lot of the value during, Black Friday.
Yeah.
So for us, it's just the whole season and quarter.
Are you gonna be mad if you don't make $1 million a day during Black Friday?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we did 6 million last Black Friday on the day of. So
Yeah.
I would be pissed if we didn't do
Oh
it.
yeah,
but
you'll probably do $2 million a
Oh,
day.
we'll see. Yeah,
Hopefully.
we'll see. But yeah, we want to go through as many as we can.
Yeah.
If we don't, we're also launching actually European shipping on September 5th. So right now we're
Oh,
in
wow.
UK. Yeah, we got a warehouse there.
Do you have an audience that's already there and on a wait list ready to go?
No wait list, but definitely some decent traffic, some
Yeah.
decent demand, and we'll just flip on meta ads.
And these people
go
are
from there.
going to your main.com, or you create a
Yeah.
separate site for Europe?
Separate. Shopify makes it so easy now.
Yeah.
They make it really easy. We're working with Global E to
Yep.
be able to do all like the merchant of record. They do some of the site stuff as well. We've got a 3PL there. We're using like ShipUp in the Netherlands there, so we're partnering with them.
Nice.
We wanted to be able to ship from there. I think it's a terrible experience shipping from here.
Right.
But hopefully that'll be some additional growth as well.
Nice.
So there's just a lot of things that
Did you get a consultant in Europe to help you understand the culture of Europe?
too cheap for that. You know that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now what we'll do?
You
we'll-
went to ChatGPT and YouTube.
pretty much. Yeah. Now what we'll do? We'll we looked at like Google Analytics. Where is our current traffic from? Global E does partner with you on this.
Yeah.
There's some data sources. We'll just use like this period, so September through the rest of the year, as like a test. We're not translating anything. I think it's kind of mixed if people translate or not. We've got like local pricing.
Yeah.
Like we've got Klarna there instead of Afterpay in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just see what markets do well. Maybe France does pretty well, and we think, hey, it's worth it to translate. Let's figure out how to get our ads in French. Let's get our site in French. Let's get our
Right.
emails. But for now, I just don't necessarily know if that's worthwhile to invest in it.
Yeah.
But in the future, we will. Maybe we open up some stores there eventually. But for now, that's a strategy. Yeah, we'll probably do like, September or October on. It's probably 40% of our revenue for the year will come in those
Wow.
3 months.
Wow.
So it's a big period.
Yeah, big period for sure. Anything else you're doing on the site or doing differently to prepare this year?
a lot of testing ahead of time. We're really just trying to test as much as we can. Everything from, checkout, shipping options, upsells, using AfterSell for a lot of that stuff. Just really trying to get everything as dialed in as we can. A lot of PDP changes.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be testing it then. So that's really the biggest difference. Is I think being more confident in filling the funnel. Like we saw, it's like you get a little bit worried during it, and then after you're like, damn, like that did really well. I wish I spent more. Right? Like we ran some ads for like email sign up like the week of for like minis are coming, and spent a few thousand, and you just don't know if it's doing anything.
Right.
And then after you're like, I wish I spent way more. So I think having the confidence to do that, but trying to just get everything dialed as we can. We're doing direct mail. We actually just finished the creative today. We're gonna do like 80K send of like a mini catalog for direct mail.
Nice.
Combo.
Just a bunch of Jones Road products.
Yeah, our holiday collection.
Nice.
So that'll go out then. I'm pretty bullish on it. So yeah, that'll be a big like test. So it's really just trying to be like, what did we do before? How are we supporting it with more inventory? How are we filling the funnel before it? But also like, what are things that didn't go so well, or we think we can just do better of than last time?
Yeah. You recently started working with AfterSell. What are your thoughts on the product and network offers?
I would say I think it's probably been like a year. I love AfterSell. I love post-purchase. I think just anywhere where you're able to just create some extra revenue. So like all of these are kind of like table stakes. Like you've got to have PDP upsells, you got to have in-card upsells, you got to have checkout upsells. I love like the changes that you can make with checkout extensibility and how easy it is to test some of these things after sell. Love their post-purchase upsells, especially because some of the other options, like they charge a ridiculous amount and it just adds up.
Right.
And it's capped, it's flat, but that's just like free money. And then same thing with the network offers, like that's really cool.
You weren't skeptical about network offers?
Oh, for sure I was.
Brand. I feel like Jones Road is.
Oh, I was.
Like even when you were testing, there was a landing page software you were testing. I was like, Cody, these are so off brand.
Yeah.
You guys are so on brand and like so strict about the brand too.
Yeah, we'll test stuff. I think some of it is subjective. But we'll definitely test stuff and see how it does. If something is not performing and not giving, extra money, extra profit, we're not going to risk it if we think so. So like we're not using that landing page provider anymore. But something like network offers, what we did is we created a test and we're just checking repeat purchase rates of people that see those versus not. No change at all. Like there's just no negative effect that we've seen.
And it's legit brands that are being offered.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's like a Nike and like a Hulu and a Netflix and stuff like that. So if anything, you make the argument it helps. We've seen no negative feedback. Even post-purchase offers, like I definitely had some concerns before it because it's like you wouldn't necessarily do it. We're not scammy about it. We're not like, hey, you have to buy right now. It's just like, hey, add this to your order. No, we got no timer.
Your family's gonna die when this hits 0.
Exactly. Yeah. With AI, you could probably put like a picture of Nick's family.
Yeah.
No, so we got none of that. Really been no negative thing. Like occasionally, especially because we have an older demo, some people have clicked on add to cart by accident and it adds it and CX deals with it. But tiny percentage compared to like the incremental revenue it provides.
Yeah.
So yeah, big fan of both of them.
That's awesome. Okay, going into, basically the end. Any last things you want to share? Any tidbits, any golden nuggets you think people got to hear before they lock themselves in their room for Q4?
Yeah, I would say get your plan. Like that's the most important thing. Get your forecast dialed in. Make sure your inventory levels, if you're doing anything exclusive, make sure you know what you have, and then just think about how you're filling your funnel. How are you reaching new people? How are you, what's your channel mix? Where are you reaching people? And then what's your communication strategy? But most important thing is what's your offer?
Right.
Are you going discount? People are definitely looking for pretty big discounts this time period. This year, are you doing something exclusive? Keep it simple. Probably extend it. It's probably no longer, a 4-day Black Friday thing. So it's probably a season. I think you should probably have some multiple offers at different times, but just dial that in, and then obviously get your plan, execute it as well as you can, and then hopefully, a year from now you can just be thinking about what did we do well, what didn't go so well, and how can we improve upon it.
Totally. Awesome. All right, Cody. Well, hopefully everybody who listens to this jumps over and listens to your podcast after this.
Yeah,
Thank you for listening, and hopefully some people hit you up.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.